I've been looking for you. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, shucky ducky. What did BT say? I'm back and I'm better. I want you back as ever. What is happening? Welcome in. It's going to be some more great conversation today. A sound effect live and popping on this mug. We're going to figure it out though. What is up? What is happening? Just so that's there. Shout out to Zach in the building. Man, y'all coming in hot with the questions. Hold on. Hold on. It's gonna be a good conversation. Just settling in. Okay. I had an old girlfriend pursue me after a 5-year marriage. Like you were married? Oh no, she's in a divorce. Okay, she was married. I think I should leave now. I already know where this goes. Like, are y'all together right now, or is this like developing? Y'all are together right now. She pursued you after a 5-year marriage. She's in the divorce process. Why do you think you should leave? I guess I'll start there. You see where this goes. Where is it going? Oh yeah, shout out to Rachel. Let's go. Yes, sir. He is on the way, ain't he? He about to boy, but he gonna crack that sky. It's gonna be GG's. Yes, sir. Um, I'm very obviously a rebound. Divorce is a hard thing to mentally process. Yeah, man. I can see where you're going with that. Well, I mean, let me ask you this. You can see you're the rebound. Um, what were the well, I guess that's a long question. Just don't want to be an emotional cushion. Yeah. Man, you know what? I can start it off like this. If you're willing, because I want to hear more context to that, man. If you're willing to share, if you're not in a position, that's okay. I'm not trying to force it. Send an invitation to come on up. But I think in the event of navigating it, man, I think it's important to consider, uh, you know, as you're being honest about it, um, and seeing where it goes. If that's where you're at, obviously a communication. Oh, there you go. Hold up. You just popped in. Hold up. Let me put this in. Welcome in, everybody. This is like a fast paced start. Um, but I'm grateful for it. If everybody who's new here, my name is Coach Sean. I'm a faith based relationship coach here to help you build healthier, happier, and whole relationships with yourself, with God, and with others. All right. And we've been having some really good lives this week with some Q&As, and we're just continuing that today. I'll finish the introductions after this segment. What's happening, Zach? Um,
What's up,
man,
bro? How you doing?
tell me a little bit more context, man. So, like, how long has the relationship been going? Um, you say you can see it as you being a rebound. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've been there before. I have previous experience of something similar, but me and this girl met 11 years ago on a cruise, right? And it was one of those. I'm not a love and first sight kind of guy, but it was. I mean, we hit it off immediately, and
Sure.
we were on and off for a little bit, hooking up, doing our thing, whatever. But it never really.
Okay, you're cutting in and out. All right, mic check one, two. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Just a little bit. Talk again.
Yeah, what's up?
There it
Everybody
is.
hear me?
Okay, there we go. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I didn't change a single thing, so if it happens
Uh,
again, it happens again.
yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. I got you. But you
Yeah,
were
so I'll
saying,
nutshell it. So we
yeah, they were. You
met
guys
on a
met on a
cruise.
cruise 11 years ago. Wasn't love at first sight, but it was
Yeah,
kind of that kind of feel.
yeah, it was as close to it as it can get.
Yeah.
Um, um, we kind of fell off, and she got married. She was married for 5 years, and she hasn't even finalized the divorce. And now she's calling me and texting me saying it was always you type shit, type stuff,
Ah,
type
got
stuff.
you.
You know what I mean? So I'm like, you know, she's showing all the right signs and everything, but if it was always me, then why'd you even go and do that? Because I was always there emotionally and ready to pursue that,
Sure.
and you walked away. So
Yeah. Um. So that's pretty. I get more context to that for sure. I would say this, man. I think one, if there's any part of you that still has like the capacity and want to connect with her, um, I think it there's a safe balance to it where you just have the honest conversation like, hey, you're still in the process of separating your divorce, all the things, and I think it's important that we just, if this is something that's even going to come out of it, one, we need to take our time, be intentional with that,
yeah,
um, and then
definitely.
two, just make it aware that even to the extent, hey, I think we should just be friends. You know what I'm saying? Or keep that friendship boundary there,
Yeah,
so that nothing
yeah,
is conflated or confused as she's healing. Because you're absolutely right. It can definitely be a rebound attitude. You mentioned how you've been there before. And I think when we're aware of those things, we definitely want to call it like we see it, and set the parameters as best as we can in a healthy way. So that way nothing is confused or conflated.
yep, yep. That's right. I mean, I want to set that boundary. She is trying to overstep that boundary, which is unlike her, from what I remember from X amount of years ago.
Sure.
So I think she's in a really emotional state and wants to just go ahead and let it all out and have fun. And I'm at a point now where I'm kind of over that. So I
Yeah.
think I'm just I think I'm just gonna kind of give her space and let her figure that out on her own.
Yeah, and I think that's a reasonable conclusion, man. And as one thing we've said a lot this week that maybe is applicable here too. One, we always want to make these decisions on relationships if they make sense according to our values, right? We see different attitudes and perspectives that maybe are coming our way, and we just want to be sure, do I have to step out of a boundary or a value I've created for my life in order to connect with this person to make room for this situation and relationship? So we're mindful of that. And then secondly, just because someone has history doesn't mean that they have immediate access to us. You're a different person,
You're
and you're
right.
seeing some things about her that, oh, this is definitely something that's maybe a little bit more on the emotional end because she's grieving. I mean, this divorce she's still in the process of, um,
Well, and
and there's a
it's a very I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, go for
It's
it.
a very nostalgic thing too, right? You're on a cruise. It's carefree. You met somebody randomly, right? You have this memory in your head of, I just met this stranger and everything's perfect, right? But I think that was 11 years ago. We're probably different people now, and
Sure,
I don't know if she's really willing to discover that. I think she's just trying to hop straight to the, you know, let's lock this down. Let's do this. And
sure.
I think there's maybe we're running in circles now. You kind of said what I needed to hear again.
Yeah, no, and it's part of the game, man. And I appreciate you jumping on and sharing that, man. And I think it's cool to allow some distance there, and just know too, man. Like as patience and as time goes on, as she continues to heal from this separation, whatever that might look like, if it's real, it'll stick.
Right.
If it's real, it'll stick. And that boundary and setting that. being honest about that. I think that's an honest way to go about it, man. And we'll see what happens over time. No pressure, no need to hurry, force anything. And it sounds like you're in the right headspace with a lot of it. So nothing else to add there.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate it.
Hey, man, I appreciate you. Appreciate it a ton. Take it easy.
All right, later.
All right, first caller of the day. Shout out to Zach. I mean, sometimes it can be, sometimes just some reassuring thoughts, right? Everybody drop one in the chat for Zach. I always appreciate people who are able to trust me enough to come up on this type of platform, no matter how many people are on there, and share their thoughts, share where they're at, and definitely think it'll be helpful for sure. Shout out to everybody in the chat. What's up, Matilda, Bree, Miss? What's going on? Well, what's your question? I definitely can invite you up. What's your question? What's going on? Share that a little bit in the chat, and then I can invite you. Um, but yeah, if everybody who's here and who's new, my name is Coach Sean. I'm a faith-based relationship coach, and I'm just simply here to help you build healthier, happier, and whole relationships with yourself, with God, and with others, and help you build security that lasts beyond marriage, so you don't lose yourself in the midst of finding love, and you're okay whether marriage comes now or later. All right, that's a big, big focal point, as you can tell. Um, Up top, we're talking about various different things: anxious avoidance, secure steps, getting all those kind of things out, um, and growing in those areas. Okay, so appreciate the heart me. I love it a ton. Thank you so much. And yeah, I'm here to also take your questions. Anything that you got going on in your relationships, all the things. I do have to set some guidelines as we're getting some people filed in here. Number one, this is a safe place. All right. And so this is a safe space for you to just be you, be where you're at, as we're just processing some difficulties as we're navigating this very thing we call life. Okay. And so, of course, in the event, as you guys are sharing messages, sharing chats, encouraging one another, all the things, be sure that we're keeping them respectful. In the event that they are not, you will be removed. Okay. Simple as that. Um, I may call you up, all right, to have some conversation and connect. I do have one, Miss XO, who I will call up here in just a moment, and then others. Okay, you can always request to join through the pink and blue silhouettes at the bottom left of your TikTok to request and get in line. That'll be available to you as well. And then, of course, maybe you're not there yet, but you just need a question. Gotta ask it. All right, share it in the chat. Be sure to be intentional with your questioning. Okay, spend a few minutes asking. I'll spend a few minutes answering. Make sure you have your question as solidified as possible. So that way we can just get to the bottom of what we're dealing with and moving forward. And I'll share other stuff as we're going through the live. For those of you who aren't aware, I have a free relational diagnostic. Go to the top of my page, click the link, and then you'll take the questionnaire. And after the questionnaire, you'll be able to get some thoughts and truth, okay, on some patterns that are actually underlying the very surfaced actions, responses, experiences you've been having in relationships, love, all the things. So you can actually get a head start with actually knowing what to do with it. Okay, we can't know what to do or how to grow or where to go if we aren't truth, and if we aren't moving in truth, and if we aren't moving in self awareness. Okay, and so that diagnostic is there for you. If you click it, take it, scroll a little bit, you'll see book your qualification call. You can click that gold button, answer those questions if you qualify. A calendar pops up for you to book your qualification call. In the event that you don't, okay, it'll show join wait list. Hit that. Okay, I got some stuff there that's designed to help you continue to move forward and move in your healing process. Okay, said a lot there. Let's get to some calls and some conversation. Be sure to like the live, repost it, reshare it. AP, I see your request. That is coming after Miss XO. If they join,
Hi,
no.
how are you?
Hey, good. How are you?
I'm good. Is this gonna come up like on my live? Like if people try to like go on my account, does it show or no? Is it just here?
I don't think so. But we can
Um,
keep it quick. We can keep it quick. If you're
I'm just
better, just
afraid.
yeah, we can. If you just want to ask your question, hop off. All the cases, we can do it that way too. It's okay.
Okay. I don't know. So you said it doesn't show that I'm live on my thing.
Let me check.
You want to go on my page?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't show it. No,
Okay, okay.
no, no.
So yeah, I had been well, right now I'm currently dating this guy,
Mhm.
and he's like pretty persistent on like, messaging me, like calling me, like reaching out to me. It's always like that. That's how the dynamic is. So he's the one that's initiating contact the majority of the time. We've been together for like a month. We met like maybe 5 months ago, from what I recall. And he pretty much pays like everything. He's paying like all my bills.
Okay, I want to pause for a second. It
Hmm.
does show that you're live, but you should be okay.
I
Are you
don't
okay to
know if
continue?
he's
Or
gonna. I don't know if he's gonna like.
okay. Well, I mean, you can be really quick with it. I mean, it's up to you. I don't want to force you to be up here if you're not comfortable with it.
Let me. I can go private, right? I think.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. Okay. Let me see. Give me 1 second. Let me try to come. I can't just chat about it.
absolutely. Yeah, you
Okay,
can just
I'll do
chat
the
about
chat.
it, and I'll definitely be here to respond. I won't be
Okay,
shy.
I'll do that. Let me get off.
Okay, all right.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I got you. All right. No, listen, I definitely want it to be safe, right? So I know people be following you. You don't want people to check it out, all the things. So again, if there's any moment that you're uncomfortable with it, we can definitely keep it to the chat. That is completely okay. All right. So you were mentioning, they knowing each other 5 months, dating, and now we're moving next steps. He pays all the bills. So catch me up there and start there. Um, AP, are you ready? I saw you requested too. Um, and I'll be able to get that here. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna check out Miss for a second, wait for her responses, and then you're next. And then of course others who are ready and willing, be sure to click that blue and pink silhouette at the bottom and request, and you'll be in line. Okay. Yesterday he didn't text me all day, and then I finally called him and he answered quickly. Okay. Okay. Was he waiting for me? Okay. Um, I think that's a tough uh I think that's a tough assumption on my part to make on whether or not he was waiting for you. He didn't text you all day. Then you texted and to only you. Oh, share more on that. Z. Okay, you called. Okay. You finally called him. He answered quick, but he didn't. Basically, you're saying he didn't initiate. Like he didn't text first. He didn't call first. All the things, and so you're asking if he was waiting for you. Um, I don't know. I'm not necessarily so sure if he was waiting for you. I think that is one perspective to give. I think here's a better question to maybe ask, right? Um, Remind me again of how long you guys have been dating. Has it been a month? You've known each other for more than that, but you've been dating a month, correct? Or is there okay. He messaged me at 5 p.m. He took 7 hours to reply. So I was worried he was mad. Yes, a month. Okay. Um, so yeah, so this is definitely a new this could be just a new relationship, right? So we're trying to get into the flow. Um, you took 7 hours. Okay, I got you. I'm reading all wrong. Okay. You took 7 hours to reply. And then, yep, I took 7 hours to reply. And then obviously you sent a message and then he didn't text that whole next day. Are we on the same page now? And then you called him and then he picked up quickly. Okay. Okay. All right. Cool. Yeah. All right. So I told you we're gonna be patient. We're gonna figure this thing out, right? I appreciate you. Um, so I would say this, right? So I don't necessarily know if it was him waiting. This is definitely part of the experience when it comes to perhaps experiencing anxiousness in relationships. Okay. Just based off of what you kind of described there, I think it's fair to say that there can be some, again, not to just put labels on it, but just to give some context, some anxious attachment, right? So part of that, we're pretty hypersensitive to the timing, the timestamps of messaging, how long it takes to reply, what could they possibly be doing, right? We find this dopamine hit, or, for lack of a better term, we just get this rush when there's enough attention given faster, right? And so going a length of time without talking to one another, and being able to send that message after 7 hours and be like, oh my goodness, I took too long. Did I take too long? Is he mad? And that's probably why he's punishing me or was taking forever to respond. Um, yeah, I think the better question that I think is worth asking is, now that you guys are dating for a month, you guys know each other for 5 months, okay? Has there been any expectations or conversations on what the flow of conversation is to look like between the two of you? That's the first question. Um, like, hey, how often do you think we should text, call, communicate, right? Because a lot of that can just be assumptions. And I think that's something that's important to talk and have conversations about, and know this isn't him, this isn't you raising a man or anything of that sort. I always throw that caveat out there because there's a belief out there that if I have to tell you, then that means you don't care. The whole if he wanted to, he would. That is just not a healthy aspect to a new relationship to carry, right? So I think that's something to pay attention to. Has there been a conversation where you guys have sat down and been like, hey, you know, let's talk about what this cadence flow really looks like, right? Um, and navigating through that. I think that's the first step. If that hasn't happened, that needs to happen. If it has happened, and this is still at play, I want you to be curious about number two. What does it mean, right? What meaning are we attributing to this person going all day without talking to you? Again, this is still a new relationship. It's a month in. I'm sure you guys are still learning one another and how you guys operate in your day to day now that you have been and gone exclusive to some degree, right? There's still some learning curves. And for him to be waiting for you on the other side, again, I'm not too entirely sure that that's the case. I do think there is a positive affirmation to consider at the fact that he answered when you called, right? It wasn't straight to voicemail, it wasn't blocked, it wasn't ignored. I think that's a positive, right? So clearly he still likes you. And I don't think we want to necessarily determine one's connection with you or likeness of you to whether or not they take, X amount of time to respond to you. Because I think that's a meaning that we attribute from places of anxiousness where perhaps we've experienced, and there could be a plethora of reasons. Perhaps you've experienced moments where somebody went X amount of time without talking to you. They ended up not being interested in you. And so maybe some of that is being reinforced. Um, and some of that is back in play. But we definitely don't want to move with the aspect of, okay, we took 7 hours to respond. And then, they took a whole day to come back to me. Because there probably wasn't a text message or a response at any given moment throughout that day. I think there's just a lot of meaning that we're attributing to that we want to slow down and we want to be aware of and catch so that we don't find ourselves downward spiraling. And as you've seen just in that day, there were a lot of scenarios that came to your mind that your mind just kind of wandered on and downward spiraled to the point where it was like, does he even like me anymore? Is this even a relationship? Right. Right. I was thinking the worst the whole day because he always reaches out to me. Right. And so I think there's something there that we just want to catch and be curious of. Because, Miss, there's a world where when he doesn't reach out the whole day, you're not concerned or worried about about the stability of the relationship. Like, you got to think about it. You guys are now exclusive and dating for a month. Before, y'all were either getting to know one another, it was friendship, y'all were just having, conversations, whatever the case was. So, like, there's just, it's a different level, different layer, and an added layer of expectation. The problem is where we met. Tell more. Okay. And anybody else who's listening in, is this, hopefully this is making sense. Um, it's kind of a shady place. All right. And so, what is that where he's always at? I'm sure you're sharing more. So I can wait. And then, as Miss is responding here, it's a spicy club. Okay. Okay. And so there's concerns that he was there. Like that's where your mind is going. He was there. That's why he didn't. Okay. A bartender. So your mind is like, oh, he was there, meeting someone else, engaging with someone else, right? All the things. Is that kind of where your mind was going? Stop being emotionally anxious. Any tips to stop being? It's more like the men that usually walk through those places aren't quality men. Ah, so then that is reinforcing some of the anxiousness and some of the worry. Um, I think that's fair. Again, because I'm not in front of him, right? I'm not in front of him and I don't know him. This is kind of where, and you're still early on in the relationship, and let this be something that allows, okay, let me say it like this. Anything that we experience in relationship to one another is it easily begins to show a mirror, right? So again, we can do all the healing we want intentionally, individually, but when we get into connection and relationship with people, there are behaviors and things that we'll see that will subtly put up a mirror to us to be able to allow us to see where we are with certain things and how much more we need to go when it comes to healing, recovering, or just growing, right, as people. And that's a beautiful thing. All relationships have the capacity to do that. And so what I'm wanting you to just think on, because it's still early on in the relationship, it seems like again there's still a feel out stage, and couple that with the context of how you met him. I don't know the quality of this dude. I really don't know like how legit it is, and there's some of those fears that are reinvigorated, and it doesn't help that maybe we go an extensive time without talking. I want you to just consider, right? What is this? I want you to self reflect, and I want you to ask yourself, what is this revealing in you? And I think we can see so far what it's revealing, right? That there's some lack that's present. Like Miss XO is not okay in the event that, there seems to be a day gone without us communicating, right? Or there's a certain time period that goes on without this happening, because if that were to happen at a consistent rate, it reassures you of the status of the relationship. It reassures you that okay, this person still likes me, still wants me, all the things. And I'm not saying that they're, texting daily or having a conversation daily isn't a part of growing a normal, healthy romantic relationship. I'm just saying in the events that that doesn't happen, we want to be curious about that, because that's really speaking to something in you that yes, that person's behavior brought up in you, but it's not their responsibility to fix or correct. And so we want to stay curious about some of those feelings that show up and take ownership in some of those ways. And then part of that is also perhaps maybe inviting them into that, right? And so having that conversation like, hey, so I noticed, and this is going to maybe have you come out of your shell a little bit. It'll be a little challenging, a little bit direct, maybe a little bit out of your comfort zone because it's not something you're used to doing. But I do think this is going to give you an opportunity to see growth, because it's either going to go well or it's going to be like, maybe this sparks a different layer of a conversation. But I want you to be curious and have the conversation and say, hey, so I noticed, I responded 7 hours late and then we went the next day without talking. And I really appreciate you for picking up the phone quickly and when I called. And I'm just curious, like, you know, is there any way that is it impossible for us to talk about maybe what the expectations are for both of us when it comes to texting and communicating regularly and what that looks like? Because that seems to be something that would help you kind of know where the playing field is and also kind of know where he's at. And as you get to identifying some of that, be sure to take ownership and responsibility for some of those emotions that come up, because that's more so a reflection of where you are and what lack is present. I'm just afraid I like pissed him off too. Yeah. And so, well, here's the question that we have to ask and answer, right? So is it better to be where we are, where things aren't shaken up, but you're constantly in this confused, lack of clarifying state? Or is it better to just approach it and obviously carry some healthy conversation, kind conversation, and really get an understanding of where things are and how to move forward better, even if it comes at the risk of rocking the boat or disturbing the peace, right? Because right now, this is kind of a moment where you're okay being in this space, but you're not. Like, I'm okay, you know, feeling a little bit fuzzy on this and worried, but at the same time, I'm not. I'm okay because at least I still have him. At least it's still a relationship. But I'm not okay because I'm worried and I'm constantly in my head all day about what's going on. And it's kind of like one of those moments where you'd rather, right? Because I don't want to bother you. I want to put you before me. So I don't want to disrupt this. This is kind of a moment as you're engaging in the relationship and as maybe it continues. This is one of those things you want to continue to build the courage to have conversations on and see, okay, the response is allowing that to be something that either affirms or, you know, uh, challenges certain perspectives you're carrying. And when you called him, he automatically scheduled a date. Okay, so he's still interested, you know? You know what I'm saying? So like that's something, yeah, I think what we're dealing with here, and I see what your question is, was he waiting for you? This is why I'm kind of asking more questions directed to you and reflecting inwardly because this seems to be more of a you thing. Right? Now again, granted, you met him in a shady place, you're a bartender. Yeah, I don't know. Right? Like there's a lot of things there. And this is why we want to make decisions on who we date and who we engage with according to our values. It sounds like there's just some more anxious experiences happening, but more so at a nervous system level. Okay, not to say it's hard to wire or anything of that hard to rewire. It's not. It just takes time. But it does sound like there's some intentional work to really engage with this, so you can navigate this relationship healthily and to the best of your abilities as you grow. And whether it stays or goes, you can learn to be okay, right? Um, and not necessarily read every distance of text messages to mean, oh, does he like me? Does he want me? It's a common thing. It happens often. You're not alone. And there's ways where we can adjust that where that's not a common thread you're experiencing and you're better for it. Okay. So I'll say this, Miss XO. Okay. If that's something that you're interested in, like just getting some applicable steps, like intentionality to it. Because I mean, we could have the conversation all day, but there's definitely some different nuances to it. Be sure to send me a message. Can you do that? Can we follow up after the live and you send me a message and I can get you maybe some beginning steps on navigating through this a little bit healthily? This could look like, coaching. This could look like getting into a program. This could look like various different things, but obviously based on our conversation, we can definitely get into it. Does that sound fair? And I can leave it at that. Send me a message, and I'll be sure to follow up with you. All right. And for everyone, be sure to send me a message secure if you're interested in getting into my secure program. I actually have a 1 week free trial for you to be involved in. So be sure to do that. And I can get you next steps. We can discuss on what that looks like. Some of you have some pending messages. So I'm excited to get you the next steps. So be sure to check your messages because you sent the message and I want to be able to connect with you so you can be able to move forward and start getting into your lane of secure attachment. Okay. So be sure to look out for that. Um, Send me secure sessions if you're interested in coaching sessions. Okay, my books are open. Okay, secure sessions, and we'll be able to get you on the calendar to get you some work. All right, to get you further and moving ahead. All right, and take your free relational diagnostic. That's at the top of my page at the link. Click that. Take the questionnaire. Scroll down. Click gold button. Book qualification call, and then answer those questions. If you answer them and qualify, a calendar will open up. If not, you'll see join waitlist. Click that because I got some work there for you too as you're waiting actively and preparing for a program slot that opens up weekly, by the way. Okay. So yeah, I hope that makes sense, Miss XO. Again, send me a message. I would love to follow up with you because there's some things there just dealing with you that we can actually grow and make a move in. All right. AP, are you around? Thank you so much for your patience. AP in the building. What's happening?
Hi, can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes.
What's happening? Thank you for your patience. What's your question?
No problem. So I was dating, I met a guy on Hinge. I matched with him because he yeah, I matched with him because he goes to the same gym as me. And at the time I was like, oh, I want to get into calisthenics. He does calisthenics. it makes sense to me. So I meet him at the gym. Automatically, he gives me rides home. Eventually, it progressed into him helping me with like small things. Like it was my son's birthday. He was like, "Oh, I could take you to go get the cake, or I could get the cake myself and bring it to you. I can, he'll buy like little snacks for me, feed me, stuff like that when we're together. We were physically intimate. However, month 4 comes. Month 3, we kind of had our first date. But month 4 comes and one weekend. So just to back it up a little bit and give you more context, the most I would do is send a good morning text and he would call me throughout the day during work, on his lunch, after the gym, sometimes in the morning, all that stuff. That was happening consistently till about 3.5 months. He got a new job. He had to get his CDL for the job. It was stressing him out. So that kind of slowed down. But one weekend, he didn't reach out to me. So I reached out to him. He got back to me like a day later and he was like, "Oh, I'm busy. I'm going to call you." And then he called me. I couldn't answer at the time. I called him back, no response. And then the next day, I was like, "Hey, I know you're busy. Have a good day." Normal stuff. And now we're at month 4 and he ghosted me. So he didn't like block me on social media and stuff, block my phone number. He just like stopped talking to me. And I saw him at the gym and I know he saw me. And he was like facing my direction, like he wanted to be acknowledged by me, but I didn't say anything to him because it's like, okay, you stopped talking to me. What am I doing here? So yeah, so since he hasn't spoken to me and that's where we're at now, I'm trying to, cause like a part of me is like, cause he's not a bad dude. I just don't like the fact that you just stopped talking to me out of nowhere because you could have just said you need space. So, and then a bigger part of me wants to block him. So, so I'm trying to figure out like, how should I go about this? Because he really didn't do anything. It's just this avoidant thing. And it's not like I have data to be like, oh, he's with somebody else or something crazy like that. So, and I try to assume positive, like, all right, maybe you are going through something. Maybe you did need time or whatever. Maybe you couldn't communicate that to me because you was like, hey, maybe if I say this to her, she gonna leave. All right, cool. But I'm trying to figure out like what's the best way to go about this.
Yeah. And going to the same gym sometimes can make it a little bit more hectic, right? Because it's like, dang, I'm probably gonna see you again. Like this
Yeah.
is not gonna be our last time crossing paths. Well, here's the thing, right? So the part of you that wants to block you, that wants to block him, the bigger part of you that wants to block him, and then the part of you that, maybe there's a reason that maybe explains the behavior. Not trying to figure it out. Obviously, there's nothing crazy going on that you're thinking, but more so just maybe there's something. And he's not a bad dude. I want to paint this picture this way. Um, Him ghosting you, okay? Because it's you I'm in front of, and typically people who do those kind of behaviors aren't the ones who are coming to these kind of things to actually do better, right?
Mm.
But since I'm dealing with you, um, what do you believe him ghosting you in this fashion says about you? What identity do you feel like this
Mm.
affirms or confirms for you?
Honestly, I don't think like the worst of me. I don't feel like, oh, I was too needy and I was doing too much because I feel like I wasn't.
Hmm.
So I just feel like personally, maybe he couldn't step up to what I was offering because I had a very out of my element approach with him. I was more so gentle and not necessarily like a doormat, but like more so I'm trying to be patient and understanding, if that makes
Hmm.
sense.
Hmm. Yeah. So there's no part of you that feels like, you know, I'm silly. This always happens. Maybe this isn't something that always happens, but maybe that's a thought that comes across your mind. How,
It doesn't always happen. I don't feel silly for doing it because I wanted to, um, like fully like give like who I am. I said when I was dating that I would be who I am, and if you can't get with that, or if it's too much, and if it's too little, then you would exit. That's just how I felt about it.
yeah, and I think that's a great place to be at, right? So I think this is pretty simple. One, the part of you that wants to block him is more so feeling like, okay, out of sight, out of mind,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like it'll just kind of rid of whatever it is that I had thoughts of or had thoughts towards. Um, and this is something that just gives you the opportunity to challenge that, because typically when we move with blocking energy towards things like that, um, it's not really something that comes out of our heart. It's still there
Right. Mm-hmm.
emotionally or something like those. And so it's just one of those things where we want to be careful and honest and aware of that and process that, because it's okay if there was some level of emotional investment, expectation, desire that was built after seeing this person connect with you the way that they did, just for them to just fall off the map. And I think that's something we can be honest about.
Right.
Secondly, I think the best way to go about it, you know, there's two ways, right? There's two ways we can go about it. We can leave it alone, and we can be like, and just really recenter ourselves in understanding that regardless of this person's behaviors towards me, it wasn't about me, because I know I was who I needed to be,
Mm-hmm. That's
right?
exactly where I'm at.
Yeah, and that is completely fine. And I think that's more of a step to security, because it's like, or at least resting in those places and knowing that this is a moment that tests that, and you're passing it with flying colors. Like, I don't need to get an answer from you to find out
Mm-hmm.
why, because I know who I am. I know the energy I bring, the identity I carry. And I understand too that your external behaviors don't get to define me any more or less because of something you clearly have shown through your behaviors you aren't fully ready for or prepared for.
Yeah,
Right.
because I was just like, I take a lot of time to reflect on like what I did and like how I was
Mm-hmm.
acting. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
it's giving. It's really not me.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually
Mm-hmm.
a you problem, and like this is a you thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because
And
I did what I was supposed to do.
there it is, right? So when I do everything that I'm supposed to do, that I know how to do, and this person still behaves that way, yes, it's obviously a lot less about me, more about that person's reservations,
Mm-hmm.
whatever they're dealing with. I like to say and tell people rejection is either about preference or preparation. They either prefer something different or they're not prepared for me. But either way, it's not about me,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's something that we have a lens and reframing to look at in those moments. That's one way to go about it. That is the preferred way to go about it. I think that is more of a stabilized manner. But in the event that that isn't something we're at, right? And it's
Right.
like, yo, I still maybe there's an opportunity though, right? And I'm not one to tell somebody that it's right or wrong to reach back out or anything of that sort. I think when you move in abundance, these things actually become more available to you. And who knows, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so I think there is room where you can have a conversation. I like what Dr. Nigel said. Shout out to Dr. Nigel in the building. I don't know if he's still here, but there was something that he mentioned where it was just felt like there was just a miscommunication somewhere, right? And
Mm-hmm.
even in the event of that miscommunication, sometimes it can be bold, right? Y'all come across each other at the same spot in the gym, and you are the one who approaches because perhaps, right, that's just not something that he's doing, and this isn't you chasing. This isn't you
Mm-hmm.
asking for clarity. This isn't, hey, I just noticed, like, hey, I hope you're doing your lift, all the kind of things. What happened a few weeks ago? Thought he was, what's up? And bringing it to his front door, he might have a various different reasons and excuses. Now, here's the thing. This is one of those things though where we hold the tension and realize that, okay, is this something based off what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing, that I want to come back into some type of agreement with?
Right.
Because when we get to notice people's behaviors and the fruit that they expose, I want to carry the leverage of realizing that I am not obligated or inclined to reconnect with this person just because of what we were sharing or some of the things that you did for me and mine early on. I'm appreciative
Mm-hmm.
of it. I'm grateful for it. But notice too, like you also made a decision in this role, and that was to walk away and just completely fall off the map for whatever reason is yours. And I am okay with allowing people to miss out on me, even those
Right.
who are in proximity to me. And so
Okay.
I think that is, a healthy perspective. Again, it sounds like you're at a place where you're okay and you don't need it. And I think that is completely fine. Be there.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that. And I think there's, be mindful of maybe some of the stories that your mind might try to take you to when you go to the gym and you see them.
Hmm.
Because it's like, oh, I feel uncomfortable. This feels awkward. Like, no, it doesn't have to be. We're creating that.
Yeah, because
And so,
it wasn't
mhm,
awkward for me, but like, cause like he was like standing where there was a machine that I was waiting for, so I'm looking at the machine, but he's like directly in front of it. So like, if I shift my eyes, we're gonna make eye contact.
mhm,
But I just feel like you would say something, but
yeah,
also a part of me is just like, oh, I could have just said hi and kept it pushing, and then it could have opened the door for something else, and
you could. You
because
could.
it seems like he is an avoidant.
Hmm.
So, and he don't want to, he probably is making up scenarios in his mind. I'm
Hmm.
not mad.
Hmm.
Because, like I said, he's not a bad dude. Like, so, and like I said, I don't have data that shows, oh, well, he just dropped you because he in a relationship or
Hmm.
he found somebody else or somebody better or whatever the case may be. I don't have that data, so I'm not going with that.
Yeah.
So I just I just wanted to like confirmation because I haven't talked to anybody else about it. So I just
Okay.
wanted like some type of confirmation that okay, I'm in a good space.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're in a healthy space with it. And I think this is also a question to ask again, not to force anything, but if let's say he is an avoidant, do you feel like you have the capacity to engage with a relationship with him, and assuming he's intentionally willing to heal those areas? Are you willing to engage with that and know that, part of that process is some of this may be happening in the process of in the process of the relationship?
That is a good question.
Hmm.
Um I feel like if we had like a direct conversation, which I'm more so open to,
Hmm.
which it doesn't seem like he's necessarily open to doing that just from his pattern of behaviors. Like he's not really direct with his feelings. Hey, I miss you, stuff like that. He'll just do stuff. Oh,
Hmm.
I know you need a ride home. I'm gonna give you a ride home. I know you need to go do this. I'm gonna help you go do this. I know this is important to you.
Hmm.
I'm gonna help with this. So that's what he's not really like vocal about his feelings. He'll just do something and that's supposed to reflect how he feels.
Got you.
So if we had like a more so direct conversation about it, I'd be open to the possibility,
Okay.
but I don't know if I would stick around.
Yeah, so that's kind of where, we just want to be honest, right? Because
Hmm.
when we compare these kind of decisions, and I tell people all the time, you want to decide if this makes sense to even re-engage based off your values from what you've seen in their behaviors. Not just
Hmm.
not potential. Everybody has potential. Potential isn't bad.
Right.
It's just when they don't choose to do anything to progress that potential, right?
Hmm.
That's where it becomes an issue. But you look at your values, attitudes, principles, perspectives, beliefs that govern your life among the world around you. Not my own definition, a definition that Dr. Zeb, a great friend of mine in this space, created. I encourage y'all to go check his content out. Zeb Tally the Third. That's his TikTok. He's an amazing coach. But this definition though of values is really really good, because now I'm able to look at, okay, these are your behaviors. Let me look at my values. And do I find myself betraying maybe the 5 to 7 or more things I say I value in order to make room for you, this person, this relationship, and all the things that come with it? And
Hmm.
in the event that if I do, right, I find myself, abandoning more values than keeping them or staying aligned in them, then like, this probably ain't a good decision to begin with in the first place. Um, and so I think that's a good place to start too. Um, as you're trying to decide and perhaps, hey, like, doesn't even make sense. But I think where you're at is is fine. I think where you're at is cool, and there doesn't even need to be, another layer of conversation. And I think if you're curious enough to also ask, hey, what does the abundant version of me do in that moment if they're standing in front of a machine again, right? And waiting for me to make eye contact or whatever the case is, does the abundant version of me say hi, what's up, and keep it pushing? Or maybe I just go to another machine because you know what, like I'm actually low on time. I don't have time to engage and stuff,
Mhm.
and just be curious with that. Is all I would say. But I think where you're at is in a healthy place, and I think it sounds like you're at a really good stabilized place with it, knowing you did what you did what you knew how, and it's not about you, and that's the cream of the crop right there.
Okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, my pleasure. If you had any other questions, just send a message, be in the chat, and we'll be here.
Okay. Thank you.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Take it easy. All right. Y'all put a one in the chat for AP. That was good. Sometimes we just need some confirmation, right? Sometimes we just need some reaffirmation. Like, hey, am I tripping here? Like, should I go have that? No. And just being able to move healthily from there. Sometimes we just need that. Okay. So again, I appreciate you a ton. Appreciate you guys a ton um, for all the support and love. Be sure to like the live, repost it, share it with others. Go to the top of my page for a free relational diagnostic. All right, get that. You'll scroll down a little bit after that, and you'll actually click book your qualification call. You'll fill out those questions. If you qualify, you'll have a calendar open. If not, hit join waitlist. Okay, that's where you want to be. If you are interested in my secure program, send me a DM with the word secure. Okay. No, man, Peter, we're low key. It feels like we're just getting started. I think I got about an hour. Got another hour. All right. Just still taking calls and connecting with you guys. I do have somebody in the waiting room. Amani, you around? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. My female friend got offended by a joke I said that all her other male friends always say.
Hello.
It's a very interesting thing, Bruno. We'll come back to that. What's up, Amani? How are you?
Hi, I'm doing good. I just kind of had a question to see if I reacted in the right way.
Okay.
I've been talking to this guy for a minute and we started to date. I moved back to California, so I've been really like trying to settle down since I closed my business, and I was thinking about, starting a new one, but I didn't have too much time for relationships before, and I really want to start a family and settle down now. So my only thing is that I started talking to this guy, and we kind of went back and forth about what we both wanted and how we both wanted to be in a serious relationship and settle down. So it seemed like we were both on the same page. But when we went out on the first date, he was kind of talking about past relationships and how things didn't work out, which we probably shouldn't have gotten into. But I only bring this up because it led to a conversation about a prenup. And I just I was a little bit scared because I've never had the conversation before because I've never been married. And I was trying to avoid the conversation and try to switch it up and talk about other things. But the last girl he was with, because from our culture, you give something up front for the woman. It's called their meher. So she asked for 500,000 up front, and she agreed to sign the prenup because this guy is like very well off. They both ended up walking away from each other. They didn't agree on things, and I was just like, "Why are you telling me this?" It's like the first date, but it was a little bit intense, and then we just started to talk about it. I get where he's coming from. He wants to protect his assets and things that he's got in his life and he's built over the years. So I wouldn't want to take that away from him by any means. But I come from a very traditional family, and I've never talked about having a prenup. We kind of come from a place where you share a life with somebody, you build that trust, and you have a family, and you go through these things with the other person. But he got a little bit upset when I was avoiding it, and he stopped talking to me for a couple of weeks, and then we reconnected and we started texting each other, and now he wants to come and see me. So I think that he thinks that I'm on board with it, but I'm still not 100% comfortable with having that conversation. Do you think that it's it's a little bit too soon. Like you should, I know he said he just wants to be clear on things, from the get-go. But I just feel like that's the kind of conversation that you have like after, I don't know, 4 6 months, or maybe after you get engaged. Some people say, you should have that conversation before you get engaged. So I don't really know what to think
Sure.
about it.
Yeah. And so this is very interesting. Remind me, just for context, you mentioned your culture and what it's for. Um, Share a little bit about like your culture in terms of where you're at or like that background.
Yeah, so I'm Palestinian, he's Lebanese.
Knew it. Okay.
Yeah.
That's all I needed to hear. All right. So
Yeah, and we're both Muslim, and
there it is.
so, before you get married,
Yeah.
there's kind of steps that you need to
Yep.
take, and
Mhm.
I wouldn't even know what to ask for because I've never been like a greedy person by any means. I'm a very generous person. I like to give. I like to be, I have a very nurturing nature about myself. I like to take care of people. So I've never really asked for like big gifts before
Sure.
and have done all of these things. But I know a lot of girls in my culture do that,
hmm
you know?
Yeah. And would you say, and just for my clarification purposes, would you say this is very synonymous with like a dowry?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'm very the reason I asked is because I actually graduated. I don't think y'all can see it. Y'all don't need to see it. I graduated with a religion degree. And so like I did a lot of studies on this stuff, and I think it's something that's propelled a lot of the work I do. Um, in terms of helping an array of people, okay, regardless of beliefs and backgrounds. So um yeah, I think that's a very unique situation. And I don't think your reaction to it, because that's your initial question. I don't think your reaction to it is wrong. I'm of the mindset that it's not so much about whether or not a reaction was right or wrong. In some cases, depending on the context, it's more so maybe what is that reaction saying? What is that reaction speaking to? Something that's a little bit deeper, okay? That's not necessarily so much on the surface. But from what you've described, you're kind of just at a place where you're just like, yo, I just kind of want to get to know you. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know you. So like to have a conversation.
And that was my response. I just basically
Yeah,
said love takes time, building trust takes time. All of these things take time.
sure.
And so how can you just jump into like wanting to talk about a prenup right away? He just seemed very paranoid and like defensive.
hmm
And I kind of want him to get past that with me, as we grow together.
Yeah,
Because I just want to show him like I'm really not one of those girls. I'm not here for that. Like I got your back. I like you, and let's see where this goes, kind of thing.
yeah. And so I think this is I don't think how you're responding is wrong at all. I think it's actually just establishing a boundary. And I think that's a healthy way to look at it. And I think if he's really wanting to engage in the connection and be in process with it, right?
Hmm.
Then I think he will come to an agreement with that and not continuously try to, structure conversation centering on prenups, and all the different things that come into it.
Financials, yeah.
Absolutely. I think there is a time for those kind of conversations. Again, I know we were different cultures and backgrounds, but there's an infamous passage I'm thinking of. There's a time for everything under the heavens, right? There's a purpose for everything under the sun. And it's just really this aspect of, there's
It's
a
not to
season.
say that I wouldn't sign it. You know what I mean? But
Absolutely,
but
absolutely.
it's like you're not giving me a chance to even fall in love with you.
There it is, right? I don't know you, and so to just like dive into these kind of conversations and to know exactly what I do, I can't even give you whatever answer would come up isn't even something that's legit because I,
He
I
also
just
did
don't know.
he said one thing that kind of threw me off, like, I don't know how it came up, but he said something about, well, if you're doing what you need to do as a wife or as my woman, then I wouldn't need to look anywhere else. And like that
Mm,
kind of that's a given, it's kind of like
sure.
it doesn't need to be said to me, at least. And so I just thought, okay, well, what if this guy cheats on me or leaves me for some reason? Then, it's not like I'm going to be left with nothing. I got my own thing going on, but like, what if we have children and stuff like that? So I was just thinking, like, wow, is this going to get really deep so quick where I have to talk about, like, okay, well, what would our agreement be, because somebody would have to type this prenup up and include an infidelity clause and all these things. And I'm just like, I just want to get to know you and like trust you and to do all of these things first.
Yeah. Yeah. And I definitely get that for sure. So here's what I would say. All right. So are you open to him meeting you? Are you open to him, like, this meeting going down as he's
Yeah, I
traveling
like
to?
him. I think he's a
Okay.
great guy.
Okay. So if you're open to it, I think there is a way where, obviously, as he perhaps, in his words, is just clear on where he's going and what he's doing. I think there's a way where you can gently intercede, and maybe that's not the best word, but just kind of like interject and say, hey, so I understand where you're coming from with all of this conversations on prenups,
Yeah.
and in a way, trying to just basically set the framework for maybe your intentions and what you're looking for. But can we slow down?
Yeah.
Is it impossible? And this is, I love like actually having conversations where we say, is it impossible? Because you're going to learn based on what they say yes to, how you should move. Okay, not necessarily what they say no to. Well, what they say no to is what now becomes permissible. What they say yes to, you're now looking at that and saying, okay. And so this is an opportunity for you to say, hey, so I understand where you're coming from with this, and don't get me wrong, I hear your heart on it. Is it impossible for us to slow down? I just really want to get to know you. And I just
Yeah.
really want to spend some time with you to even see if this is even an available option for us to take, because I don't really know you as well. I know from what I've seen so far, I like you. I want to spend more time with you, and I want to be able to just see what this turns into without us jumping so far into these kinds of conversations that I know I'm not ready to have. And I think you should be okay with just saying, hey, I'm not ready yet to have this conversation.
Yeah.
And if he responds in a bombastic manner, a very storm off anger manner, or something along those lines, let that be information for you that, okay, maybe this, as much as I would want it, this may not be the best relationship in this season, in this moment, and be okay with that. Because I
Yeah.
think, and especially when we're getting to know people, y'all, and this is for everybody listening, I want y'all to take this with you. When we're having conversations with people and we're getting to know them, okay, establishing our boundaries, what we're comfortable with talking with, what we're comfortable with engaging with, like, this is a process. Sometimes we fall so deep into the finish line, marriage, contracts, all the different things that come into play, that we forget that we're meeting a whole nother human being who has a whole nother life, a whole nother story. Okay. We're getting to experience them, and we should be okay in process as the relationship develops. I do not need it to be anything and everything right now to have these kinds of conversations, or to just simply connect and let those things build over time. I don't think we should be having conversations so soon on those kind of things. And it's not to say we should wait until we, get to the altar to finally have those conversations. At some point we do start talking about it, but let's take our time, and let's be in the present and allow this to develop and process in a healthy way. And so, to answer your question, Amani, I think you're okay. And I would just encourage you, as you have this conversation in person, as he comes to see you, encourage, hey, I love the, maybe even how you may phrase it. It's intentionality. Perhaps, obviously, there's some fear present from previous relationships he's had, some of the things that he shared with you that maybe you'll refer back to. But just say, hey, listen, I would love for us to slow down. And is it impossible for us to just slow down and take this kind of conversation off the table for the moment, so I can get to know
Definitely.
you better?
Yeah.
And then let's make a decision, once we get to know one another better, what things may look like in the future. And if he says, yeah, that is impossible because I need to know now, then let that be something that says, hey, okay, so then this isn't going to work for me. Because that sounds like that's something that is obviously just pushing you and rushing you. And the last thing we ever want to do, especially when it comes to relationships, love is incompatible with hurry.
Right.
Love is incompatible with hurry. I am not trying to hurry anyone to a decision or destination that they are not ready for and they're not willing to engage with in the moment. And let that be something that that you take with you. I hope that makes sense. Does that answer your
Yeah, it
question?
does. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely, my pleasure. And again, any other questions, anything like that, please feel free to throw them in the chat, send me a message, and we
For
can
sure.
keep things
Okay.
going. Okay. Best of luck
Thank
to you.
you. Okay. Bye.
Absolutely. Easy. Okay, man. Y'all put a one in the chat. Put a one in the chat for Amina. That was awesome. Okay. Um, that was really dope. And I think as we just move forward into those processes, man, y'all want to take your time, man. Take your time. What did what did homeboy take your time? What's the rush? You know what I'm saying? Take your time. Take your time getting to know people, engaging with people, all the things, man. We do not want to rush into these situations. I know money is important. I know finances are important, all the things, but let's slow down. We don't need to hurry into anything. Okay. And this is something that really gets into the conversations of, what we, for some people, right, we date to marry, right, and all the things. And I get you. I get a lot of people when they say that, but this is where I disagree, right? Marriage is not the goal. Okay. Marriage is not the goal. That is not to say that we should not be moving intentionally. So don't hear me say that. It is not to say that we shouldn't. Thank you for the heart means, y'all. I appreciate it, son, Monica. Monet. I said Monica. Monet. Lauren. Shout out to Lauren in the building. How you living, sis? Um, it's not in any way, shape, or form to say that we should not be moving intentionally when we're engaging with people. But when I say marriage is not the goal, I say that because sometimes you will match up with somebody who has the similar goal as you when it comes to marriage. And then you rush there without being in process, allowing the relationship to develop. And then you get to the marriage and you don't even know who you're marrying. But all you know is, hey, we both made an agreement that marriage was the goal. Marriage is where we were trying to go. And so what I say is you date, yeah, you don't date to marry, you date to be present. Let's be present. Can I tell y'all a secret? Can I tell y'all a secret? This is for the fella. If there's any men in the chat, y'all gonna really benefit from this. But I think a lot of the ladies will agree with this. Okay. Um, so this is why I say it this way. Again, it's not to say that we shouldn't move with intentionality and we shouldn't be with moving with intentions of, hey, I'm doing this to marry, right? Or I'm doing this to get into marriage, right? Because think about it, when you get married, all the information, all the pursuits, all the things that you engage in within the process, you don't stop doing. You don't stop doing. You don't stop trying. You don't stop putting in effort. You don't stop doing, like, when you get married, none of that puts to rest and be like, okay, I finally got him. So now I can stop all the hard work, stop all the pursuing, all the compliments, no, you got to keep how you got him is how you're gonna have to keep him. Okay. But let me explain this. This is the secret. Um for a lot of your nervous system, and this is kind of going back to trainings, this is going back to programmings. Um Men are naturally, now this isn't to say that this can't be changed, but men naturally move at a pace where you're trying to solve, finish. Okay. Everything is about like the completion of a thing and how fast we can complete it. This is kind of going into the sympathetic, parasympathetic. I'm not going to bore y'all with all that kind of stuff. I did my studies. Okay. So I'm not going to bore y'all with all that, but just know that a lot of women specifically, okay, um, patience, process, and rhythm. All of these things are needed in order to get the most out of the woman you're in front of. Patience, process, and rhythm. There needs to be a consistent flow. There needs to be some predictability. There needs to be a sense of rhythm and cadence. And there needs to be a process. Women are not typically just going to jump in, although they may do it mentally or logically, and maybe sometimes emotionally, depending on where they are. Women are not naturally in their most esteemed femininity going to just be all in off rip, because you said it, AP, with that brings security. I'm we're gonna have a conversation. I just want to give y'all, let me just share this with y'all, because again, we have to be willing to have these kind of conversations. Okay. Because I think it's important, and so many religious spaces make it taboo, and that's not what I'm here to do. Okay. I want to have some real, raw, relevant conversations with y'all. This is so in connection to the sex life you'll create with your husband, your spouse, and people and just all of that in general, right? Because you're going to actually make the most of said experience, not when you're rushing to complete, but when you're present enough. And when you're present enough, this is where rhythm and consistency, predictability, all the things is establishing a sense of consistency that allows her to have a fun time and that allows him to have a fun time in all spaces. This doesn't just affect, okay, obviously, your relational intimate life with one another as spouses. This also impacts the trajectory of the relationship. You have to be willing to be present, and you have to be willing to play the long game. And this is why I tell you, ladies, that like weed him out, wait him out. If you really want to know how legit somebody is, you're going to wait them out, because I need to see some level of consistency, predictability, stability. I need to hear all of that. I need to see all of that. And most women are on board with this aspect of process and this aspect of patience. You'll find some outliers who are ready to go. And that doesn't mean there's something wrong with them. Okay? But it's just like, hey, we're let's just take our time. Let's be in the present and let's engage with this in the right manner. Okay? Because that's what builds a compound effect. So I tell people, as I've had to remind myself, hey, you got to be present. Stop thinking so much about the finish line. Stop thinking so much about what things need to look like and all this thing that needs to be in order from your analytical mind, right? We need to get into the present and engage with that. Just be here. Be here. Okay. This is why, again, never mind. If y'all really want a lot of that stuff, especially how it relates to sexual experiences, your sexuality, all the things, and how your body is just simply designed from a nervous system perspective and how all that comes in, stick around. Okay, we're gonna have a live talking about all those things because all of it connects. Like it's not random that people aren't able to be connected or stay connected or have helpful, healthy, just intimate lives with one another. There's a reason. Okay. And a lot of it is because for men, and not to say men, women have engaged in corn, replaced the C with the P2. Like a lot of people have engaged with it, and all of it, all it's taught you was that everything was supposed to be fast. Everything was supposed to be rough. Everything was supposed to be just, just tense. And so when you get into these spaces and your body is so programmed to doing that kind of stuff, and then you get engaged with an actual space of intimacy, this is why women start carrying burdens that don't even belong to them, and nobody's able to enjoy what the setting is supposed to create. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, fast, clean, and perfect. Like everybody is trying to get after it, and the goal is finishing. Like so, there's just a lot of conversations that we can have around this, but I think it will be something obviously from a clean perspective, not from something that's just crazy and wild, but from a clean perspective and from a scientific place that I think will help you understand even further why it's important to be in the present. Okay. Not for the goal of being intimate together. We're not saying any of that, but just y'all get the point. Okay. Put a one in the chat if that made sense. If I confused you, put a 3. If it made sense, put a 1. It's process, patience, and rhythm. Process, patience, and rhythm. All right. And this moves in all kind of faces and all kind of places. Okay. Ask your question, Megan. What's up? I have a couple people in line, so I'm going to start from the top. And of course, if you guys have questions and you need and you want to come up, just hit that blue and pink silhouette, and you can join in line. Also, be sure to go to the top of my page, click the link for your free relational diagnostic. Send me a message, DM secure, if you're ready to step into my secure program designed to help you go from anxious or avoidant to secure attachment, so you do not lose yourself in the midst of finding and experiencing love and build security that lasts beyond marriage. And then send secure sessions if you want some coaching sessions. My books are open, and I'm looking forward to working with you. Hello. Please tell me your name.
Hello. My name's actually Sincere.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, this is just
Sincere,
an
what's up?
artist name and stuff.
Gotcha.
I wanted to come and ask you like a question man to man because like I never really like had like a lot of relationships growing up because I never like pushed myself into that, and I just like
Sure.
recently like got cheated on, like, and I like kind of like opened up a little bit too much after like 7 months with somebody, like kind of gave like my all into that because I kind of like ignored the signs that other brothers were giving me when they were like, oh, you can't share too much, or these like girls will fall out of interest, you got to always stay mysterious, this and that.
Mm.
And I kind of got like cheated on and played when I just like was really genuine with somebody. And I was coming to ask you, like, brother to brother type shit, like,
Yeah.
should I become like very mean in a sense, or should I just keep this genuine like heart as a man and just move different?
Yeah.
Should it be me being mean and start to treat these like women bad like all these other brothers should say I should and everything, or should I just keep it honest and true, and hopefully like somebody will come along and treat me right the same way?
Yeah, bro. First and foremost, sincere, this is a phenomenal question. And I say this, bro, because my content, when I started doing this intentionally, I want to say specifically in the relationship realm, I want to say about maybe 3 or 4 years ago. Um, I had men and guys like you in mind
Mm-hmm.
because this is a real like fork in the road, right? And I just appreciate you asking this question, and I wish more men were willing to engage in that before just kind of swinging the pendulum, because it's just
Yeah.
what we need, man. And I want to applaud you so much for just asking that question, man. So man to man, man, no, I think you stay genuine. Here's why. Um, I think you stay genuine. I think you stay honest. I think you stay present. Because two things. One, uh, the cheating that you experienced was less about you, more about the limited capacity that she had,
Yeah.
right? And it's not to make her the bad person or the villain to the story as much as that betrayal hurt, but it's realizing that, man, there are a lot of people, man, due to so many unhealthy things that they've come up in and they've grown in, that just don't know how to handle something good when they have it,
Mm-hmm.
genuine when they have it. It's kind of like if I were to give a set of car keys to my niece. She's a little
Yeah.
toddler, maybe 1 years old. She is 1 years old, um, and giving her those keys, she might take that. She might drool on it a little bit, stare at me for a while, doesn't know what she's holding. Before
Yeah.
she actually takes those same car keys, man, and she tosses them to the side in efforts of going to go get one of her toys or just crawling away. And
Mm-hmm.
in that moment, it would be like me looking at those car keys and being like, well, those car keys are trash because my little niece threw them to the side. When in reality, I can't look at it that way because she doesn't have the capacity to view the keys in the right way, to know what they're used
Mm-hmm.
for, and to make the most out of them. And I think oftentimes when we go through these periods of rejections and various different formalities, even to the extent of betrayal and cheating, we realize that this person just simply did not have the capacity to see what was in front of them. And that it was either about, as I said earlier, preference or preparation, but it isn't about us. So I want you to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
And this is also in turn why we still want to stay in an open, genuine manner and not closed off. And this is more so from a psychological standpoint, because this is a natural response to experiencing some kind of hurt like that. Typically, we come into this space, man, and we come into it eyes wide open, especially if it's something that we've never done before. We've
Mm-hmm.
never really engaged in relationships so heavily. Typically, we come in eyes wide open. We're willing to do any and everything that makes sense and is in alignment, right? We're willing to love hard. We're willing to be consistent, genuine, just share, and just be us. And then we experience some level of hurt, and that
Yeah.
level of hurt then begins to create all of these what we like to call walls that your brain or your psyche begins to create. And now, not it's not just walls that it creates, because it's like, hey, I don't want to feel that pain again. But then there's
Uh-huh.
also this aspect of a ceiling that's created. And now when we get hurt, we're like, okay, well, now the ceiling or this border is now to the most extent I'm going to give to someone, because this hurt or wound proved that if I go beyond it, this is going to be the result. But we have to be mindful of that meaning that we attribute there, because she doesn't represent all women. and
Yeah.
she doesn't represent or is the standard of how women in their willingness and readiness has the
Hmm.
capacity to deal with your heart.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Oh, sorry. And another thing, she was like this, like, cause, like, I'm a person like who like didn't have a lot of relationships in life, but I had more like intimacy, with a lot of people, and like I became numb to it in a sense. Like, I don't
mm,
want it 24/7 as a man, and that's weird to say because like it's like kind of like I grew past myself in a weird way, and she just constantly wanted, can I say like sex? Like,
go for it,
yeah,
go
she
for it.
wanted. Yeah, she constantly wanted sex 24/7. I would give it to her, but I would tell her like, I'm a man, like sweetie, like us men get tired. We get post nut clarity. Like we get depressed and all that if we're just having sex 24/7. Yeah, we enjoy it. Our bodies love it, but our soul really hates it. And like she would like get angry at me for that. And I'm like, well, our bodies are different, girl. I was like, I can give that to you, and I know that you want that like 24/7. But I'm like, man, I'm like, you're moving out of lust. And I would tell her, I'm like, I like you for you and like your personality and who you are. And it's kind of like she got mad from that. And I was like, I didn't, when I first met her, I didn't have sex with her for like 15 days. And she was wondering why I was doing that. Cause I was telling her, I was like, I come off genuine. I was like, I didn't want you to think that I only wanted you for your body. I was like, I enjoy your body. I love the way that you look, but I'm looking for someone who's real and honest, like very honest. And I'm the type of person who like, gave my life to Christ at a young age, like
Yeah.
at 14. And like I always had a different perspective of life, and I never was like a person who would like want sex 24/7. I wanted it growing up a lot, but my
Mm,
soul hates it. My soul hates it. My body loves it. And I just feel like tired of it. Like to where like, oh, they're rejecting me because of that. And I'm like, bro, that's crazy. That's crazy. Cause sex is easy to come by.
mm,
Relationships ain't. Like I had that so much that I'm like kind of tired of it. And I told her that like blatantly, and she just wasn't down with the program. And she just went to the next. And I was just telling the next brother, I was like, don't claim it, bro. She's just gonna do the same thing to you, man. I was like,
mm,
honestly, like I was like, just keep her out as a side piece or something, like, because I wasn't even really bothered by it that much, because I
mm,
told her what I wanted as a man, and she just didn't respect that.
mm. Two things. So I want you to be mindful of some of the verbiage because I actually would disagree that from a blanket statement, your soul hates it. Um,
Yeah.
I would say because you got to think about it, man. Like again, because we're on the topic of it, man. Sex is something God created. For us to be able to enjoy that, obviously within the confines and alignment for which He created it. Okay, so part of
Mhm.
possibly what is actually pushing you to say your soul hates it is because you actually are feeling some level of challenge or conviction within the context to which you're engaging it in, um,
Yeah.
and the meaningfulness that you're possibly using it in, right? So it's more so coming from various different areas than just honestly alignment and abundance with what you believe in all of those things. And so I think you're maybe feeling some areas of conviction that should point you to say, hey, this thing that we're doing is actually meant to be enjoyed, but we're actually limiting ourselves because we're enjoying it within a context that doesn't align with maybe me or what I choose to walk in. And I think that's a whole nother conversation. Again, stick around and we'll have conversations on all that, in the future. But this is the second thing I'll say, man. And this is something that I think that experience should open your eyes to, and realizing that it's easier to be felt than to be known.
Yeah.
It is easier to feel on something, feel on somebody, and be felt on by somebody than it is for someone to actually get to know you for your weaknesses, get to know you for where you are, get to know you for who you are. And for a lot of people who are afraid of that themselves, right? It isn't an option. It isn't an option to
Yeah.
be seen. And so when I come across somebody who is willing to engage in that, that is something that could easily push me away, but not because that in and of itself is wrong. It's simply because it exposes this individual is not ready to be seen. And anyone who's not ready to be seen will find themselves in various difficulties in relationships, let alone trying to build connections with people that last.
Yeah.
And so I want you to keep that in mind, man. Like you're at a it's kind of like that in between, like, man, I'm about ready to go into this door of just red pill knocking women off the pedestals and all the different languages that come with it, But in reality, man, you'll notice a lot of people move from those places from hurt, and it does nothing
Yeah,
but create more wounds. And so to move in the opposite direction has us really just acknowledging the situation for what it was, acknowledging the moment for what it was, grieving that so we can leave it healthily. And then I think in the end, being able to stay aligned in our values and knowing moving forward, okay, when we start sharing things and when we start opening up to people, I like it to this, man. We want to give a little at a time, right? We want
yeah,
to stay real, raw and relevant, but we want to give a little at a time. And that doesn't mean that, somebody has to be with me for 5 years, 10 years to be able to
yeah.
get access to all of me. Cause I think
Like
as you
kind
continue
of
to, yeah, go for it.
like kind of bird feed them for be it bird feed them in a sense, and always kind of like keep a mystery about yourself to where it like keeps them wondering, not in a toxic way, but it's like, oh,
I,
I'm around them more and I just want to learn more and more about them because
I think that can be an
yeah,
interesting way to put it. Yeah, like the longer they're around you, the more they'll learn about you. But it's not to keep a mystery so, you know, she keeps guessing or it's playing some kind of egotistical game where I'm just staying in this unknown place, this nonchalant place. A lot of that stuff, man, comes from wounds. We don't want to operate in that. I want you to think about it like this. You mentioned being a believer in Christ, man. So I'm gonna use this passage of scripture. And this comes from, I believe, is it First Kings chapter 19? Again, this ain't gonna turn into no Bible study, y'all. Just hang with me though, because this is a reference that I use often when I talk about just giving a little. Um, and there was a king in this space. His name was King Hezekiah, man, and that brother got sick. And when he got sick, that's Elijah. Okay, that's First Kings 19. I'm gonna find it. So, but when he got sick, he had some envoys, some Babylonian envoys or enemies that came and checked in on him. Right? They sent them a little gift, and he was just so trigger happy to just let them in on everything. And
yeah,
that day, when that happened, this is actually Second Kings chapter 20. When that happened, just to summarize the story, the prophet of the land came in and was like, "Hey, so yeah, why did you do that? Why did you give the enemies who Babylon, if just to paint a picture, they're like the world leaders of all kinds of militant, right? They just lead the world in that time or the culture in that time, and they're the strongest army force. They're the strongest, just people. And so they're trying
yeah,
to take over all kinds of lands, various areas, and they're actually trying to team up with smaller territories to be able to grow stronger. And so Babylon is not it when it comes to the nation of Israel. And yet this city comes in and is like, yo, we're gonna send your king some gifts, some heartwarming gifts, and you're just gonna be able to, go from there. And he doesn't read that in between the lines. He receives the invoice. Okay, this is verse 13 of Second Kings chapter 20. Hezekiah received the Babylonian envoys and showed them everything in his treasure houses, the silver, the gold, the spices, the aromatic oils. He also took them to see his armory and showed them everything in his royal treasuries. There was nothing in his palace or kingdom that Hezekiah did not show them. Verse 14 says this. Then Isaiah the prophet went to King Hezekiah and asked him, what did those men want? Where were they from? Hezekiah replied, they came from a distant land of Babylon. What did they see in your palace? Isaiah asked. They saw everything. Hezekiah replied, I showed them everything I own, all my royal treasuries. Then Isaiah said to Hezekiah, listen to this message from the Lord. The time is coming when everything in your palace, all the treasure stored up by your ancestors until now, will be carried off to Babylon. Nothing will be left, says the Lord. And this is just
yeah.
a context to like, man, they were already in a place where they were about to be, exiled and taken by Babylon and captive. He's like, but this specifically is going to happen to you. Here's why I'm saying this. Okay, this is why I'm even bringing this up, because Hezekiah decided to open up and share everything off of a small moment of what seemed to be kindness from the people that came to him, but in reality
Yeah.
was to them getting access to things that they had no business doing, right? They had no business having access to all his palace, his treasuries, all the things, but he was willing to give it because in his mind, he was trying to perhaps be received, be welcomed, status related, because he's a lower king compared to the people who visited him. Babylon is a stronger place than Israel. Okay. So he's
Yeah.
trying to prove his status, all the things. So he just gives it all. He's trying to win them over by overperforming,
So
by
it's kind of like
oversharing.
it's kind of like when you overshare, like people kind of like lose respect for you, kind of in a sense of a
Not
way. Like,
even not even lose respect, because I think the right people don't lose respect, right? The right people
yeah,
don't lose respect. In this particular situation, he's oversharing to people who actually aren't even interested in what he has to share. They're actually interested in taking that information and even either using that access against him, or perhaps just putting on a facade that's hard for him to see in the moment,
mm,
right? Because the right people aren't going to take that information, run with it, and look to destroy you with it. The right people are going to receive you and it and be a safe place for you to process through those things healthily, right? But in this
mm,
particular setting, that's not what they're there for. And he just willingly gives it because he's trying to win them over in some way, right? And that is
I'm
where he
getting
loses
behind that.
sight.
Yeah,
And that's where he loses sight. So it's the problem isn't necessarily sharing, or even, yes, there's a day and time where we overshare and we shouldn't overshare, right? We want to be mindful, but this is why we say we give a little at a time, because sometimes we come across people in this same example. I'm gonna take it to real life. We come across people and we're willing to open up everything, and we're willing to give them everything. But what we haven't done is give them a little to see what they did with the little given. We just were
mm,
so caught up in trying to give them everything that we did, and it was too much too soon. And so, what we want to do is not completely cut off sharing with these people or cut off sharing with people intentionally. It's actually inviting us to say, hey, I want to give a little at a time, and I want to observe. How do you deal with the little I give you at a time? How do you respond? Okay. And this is what's giving me feedback to know how much more can I trust you with
it's kind
versus,
of like, yeah,
yeah, go for it.
it's it's kind of like feeding somebody the same food over and over and over instead of like waiting so they could like remember the taste of that food and be like, oh, I want to try that again. So you're like constantly oversharing, and then they get bored of that food.
Yeah, or they just get, they get not desensitized to it, but I think it becomes so overwhelming. Sometimes they don't know what to do with it. They don't know what to do with it, and sometimes we can overshare to a point where this is something that actually is pushing them away, but not because what we're sharing is wrong. It's just we're not sharing it in a maybe real, raw, or relevant manner. Like, you know how easy it is for you to be thrown off if you're having a good time with somebody, and then for them to just say randomly in the conversation that they lost their entire family in a war. Like, you
Yeah.
would be like, "Oh, okay, hold on, bro. Like, what am that was okay, wait. I thought we were just watching TV. I thought we were just, I thought we were just chilling, right?" So there's a season and a time to share things and speak things with people. It's just a matter of being aware of enough to the relevancy of the conversation. Hey, does this make sense to share? And when we share it, right, we share a little of it. Maybe we don't share our whole life story on the first date. Maybe we don't share our whole, experiences with somebody 3 months into the relationship. We're still growing and learning one another. And as those conversations open up, let's be willing to have them, but let's not be willing to just
Yeah.
share everything at once. And this isn't us cutting off that access. This isn't us moving hard hearted. This isn't us being nonchalant. This isn't us just having unprocessed emotions that's spilling out onto the relationship. This is us just simply being cautious
Mhm.
and at the same time being open, holding that tension of cautious and open, and
Honestly,
allowing
I
people to earn that.
Honestly, I feel like it was me in the situation now. Now that I'm looking back at it, because
Mm,
I'm like, I wasn't a person who was love bombing. I wasn't really like that. It was
sure.
more of that I was too honest and I was too mean when I didn't mean to be mean. And then they would like kind of like hold grudges towards that, and I would have to like apologize. I'm like, sorry, my sense of humor is a little bit different. Sometimes I come off with certain things, and I don't mean to like get you mad in this way. But I
Mm.
gotta think like I'm like females emotions are a little bit different, you know. So I'm like, bro, like they ain't gonna really like take the jokes like us guys do and stuff like that stuff. So
Sure, sure. And well, and I would say this too. I mean, it depends on who you're messing with. The women
yeah.
have great sense of humor too, depending on who you connect with. But I would just say this, man, just in light of what was shared there, moving forward, take into consideration, hey, if I'm going to share something with them, is this relevant to the conversation? Is this relevant to the context that we're in? Okay, to be
Mm,
mindful of that. But at the same time, man, don't allow what someone else mishandled to mean that it's not something that you should continue carrying. It just is a reflection of them mishandling it. And we're going to do some work to put that back together. But so that next time in next relationships we don't find ourselves oversharing, giving too soon, but we're being
Mhm.
cautious in the space. Because I'm telling you, man, there are women who are safe spaces to be around, safe people to be around, and who will cater to those things. But it takes us, as we're engaging those processes, as we meet people, to just be in the process. I want to be able to see with the little I give you. And the little I give you is like, I don't mind you knowing this. Maybe there's all of it that you don't mind them knowing, but no matter how much of it, if there's a piece of it, maybe I'll give you this little piece. I want to see how you handle it.
That kind
How
of
do you
reminds
deal with
me.
it?
That kind of reminds me of like are you a believer as well?
Yes, sir.
Like it kind of reminds me of like how God will test you with small things to see what you'll do with big things.
Come
I'm
on
looking
now.
at it like that.
I
I'm
didn't
looking
say
at
it,
it
you did.
exactly like that. Yeah, yeah.
I didn't say
That's
it, you
wild.
did. Absolutely. Listen, to whom much is given, much is
Mm,
required.
yes,
Right?
sir.
Like I can't trust all of that with everybody around me. Right? There are some things I've told some people that I haven't told others. It's not because I don't like them. It's just, hey, I've got enough context to you to realize that there are some things you just don't know how to be quiet about. Like I've
Yeah,
been in your presence and realize like, fam, you talk too much. So
yeah,
why would I feel influenced to tell you something that I'm honestly working through that you haven't shown the capacity to process? Right. And
yeah,
so this is something that we want to be eyes open, being aware, but not being completely shut off. That doesn't win anything. That doesn't win anyone. That just constantly puts us in these loops of living from wounds and not healing them. And instead of getting, surgery, we just put a band-aid over it and call it a day. Like this is a moment where we're intentionally just, reframing some beliefs, reframing some perspectives, getting back into alignment and agreement. And as we move forward in future relationships, we're just going to pay attention to some of the things there a little bit better, knowing that there's value in giving you little. And then as I
mhm,
see how you handle the little, it's going to confirm whether I can trust you with more, or is this where it ends for right now? And as we continue connecting, maybe there's another opportunity where more is given.
mhm.
Right. But it's
Yeah,
all about that feedback, man. Yeah.
it's kind of like in a way of like you're giving less to kind of like see their character of where their intentions lie
There it
at in a
is.
sense.
There it is. Listen, women do it often. Men should do it. We all should do it because we're learning to connect with one another. We're learning one another. Women do it often. Men do it often. Women will do it. Listen, I am not. I think a woman who is healed is not going to just be willing to throw her body at you first date.
Yeah.
I think a man who's healed is not willing to try to throw his body at her in
Mhm.
date one, right? Like, no, I don't know you. I'm not willing to just do all of this stuff off rip and off front. What I am willing to do is get into a position where I can connect with you. I
Mhm.
want to get to know you. I want to get to be in a process of building relationship with you. And let's see where things build from there. Well, as I said
Yeah.
before, process, patience, rhythm. These are things we should keep in mind when we're
Uh-huh.
connecting with one another and really seeing what's here at the helm of all relationships we cultivate.
And
Yeah, go for it.
oh, sorry. And another thing I believe in is like soul ties. So whenever I would like, because I had like a lot of like sexual encounters in my life, to where it's like it feels like I'm taking on their like their trauma, and it makes me think about these people more when I shouldn't even think about them because I'm not even in a relationship with them. I don't even talk to them. But these people that I met down the road, it's like they're on my mind, and it kind of reminds me of like if you ever watched the Freddy Krueger like us
Yeah,
movies and everything growing
sure.
up, how he lifted up his shirt and you could see all those like faces on his chest. That's
Mhm.
what it kind of reminds me of, or like Dragon Ball Z, about like how Goku and Vegeta would put on the earrings and like
Yep, yep,
combine and become one.
yep,
Yeah,
yep. Very interesting. Yeah, and I think all of that is stuff, man, that as you continue to grow and as you continue to learn and continue to heal through certain things like this, there's various different aspects and reframings that are able to grow from moments like this, man. And I'm sure we'll have conversations later down the line on Soul. I actually have a video. I forget what playlist it might be in where we talk about but just something to consider moving forward without getting too deep into it here. But listen,
oh
man,
yeah, most definitely.
I hope those thoughts were helpful, man. Stay open, stay true to you, man. There is someone out here, man, regardless of how many trial and errors you may experience, that has the capacity to handle you as you
Yeah,
are, and your heart as it is, man. And instead of trying to turn mean for the sake of trying to have one up on them so we aren't hurt, that's a protective mechanism that we don't want to engage in. What we want to engage in is just simply being honest, being present, being available emotionally, because there is a woman out there, man, that will receive that from you, will cherish that in you. And because of your willingness to be open with those things, will love you even more because of the access gained that you see she's able to trust you with. And that is and vice versa, she's able to trust you, you're able to trust her, and that's continuing to grow, and that's a beautiful thing, man. And don't let this one girl or one moment ruin that for you, because she is not the pedestal and definition of all women. And I hope that made sense.
Thank you. Yeah, that means a lot. And I gave you a follow too. So if I ever like need like
Hey,
some like words
absolutely.
of like wisdom advice, I'll like holler
Absolutely.
and say
Yes,
what's up,
sir.
bro.
Yes, sir, man. Say what's up, send a message, and we'll connect soon, okay?
All right, thank you. Thanks for
Absolutely.
having
My
me.
pleasure, man. Take care.
All right. Oh, could you?
All righty. Man, put a one in the chat for that, man. This is it. God, man, good Lord. This is it, man. This is it. I appreciate that a ton, Dr. Nigel. I listen, man, like this is this is it, man. Like this is the kind of stuff that we should be talking about, man. I like to call those kind of situations being in the middle. Listen, your boy has had his moments of rejection, heartbreak, all the things, and those thoughts run through your mind. Okay. Those thoughts run through your mind of like, man, I'll never open up, I'll never do this, I'll never do that. And in reality, man, what's a beautiful thing about it is all of that is just also pertaining to some of the ego showing up. You're hurt, and it's okay to admit that you're hurt. As men, it is okay for us to admit that, man, we really love this person, this situation, this environment, and it did not work out the way that I wanted it to. And that is the first step of not allowing your ego to take over, that convinces you that you should just put a wall up and keep moving forward. Men do this and they turn the red pill. Women do this and they turn to hyper independence. Women do this and they turn into the woman that just hates all men and trashes all men. But don't you notice that those same type of women all of a sudden put things down when they come across the right one that knows how to handle their heart? She went from, oh, I hate all men and I can't stand all men. She's retired now, and now she does things behind closed doors for that man that she'll never tell her friends, because she knows that the right one found me. I'm telling you, like this, these are the things, man, that just make a difference, right? And it's a way of processing it and coming together through it. So I hope that was a helpful conversation, y'all. I really, really do. Listen, let's move. I know I had two. Oh, okay, I got four people in the waiting call. Okay. Liano, I think, was next. And this actually might be, no, this is the last call. Okay. So if I didn't get to your question, please send me a message. Okay. Um, absolutely. Tartaria, I know that's your music name, but sincere, absolutely, man. Y'all be sure to send me a message, okay, with your question or thoughts, and I'll be sure to get back to you. Listen, if you're interested in some coaching, my books are open. Send the message, secure sessions. I wanna connect with you, help you process through some things. If you're interested in my secure program, send a DM message with secure, and we can see what that looks like to get you enrolled and going in the trial week. That's the first week of the program to get you going in there, and take your free relational diagnostic. That's at the top of my page. Okay. You take that, you get your questionnaires, you answer that, you get some diagnostics to help you see some leveled patterns underneath the surface of your experiences with love. You scroll down, you hit book your qualification call, answer those questions. If it works, awesome. You'll actually be able to book your calendar call. If it doesn't, okay, you'll see join waitlist and join that. All right. That's a place for you to still get your healing as you're waiting, as program slots open up weekly. All right. My last call for the day. Save the best for last. How are you?
Hi, how are you? Thank you so much for taking the call. I
Absolutely.
appreciate
My
it.
pleasure. Yes. What can I help you with?
I've been a quiet listener for a while now, quiet follower, but
Oh,
I
awesome.
came across, yeah, I came across your page when I was actually going through some things in my relationship, and you happened to pop up. And ever since then, I was kind of just like finding solace in being able to put some context to what may be going on. So I'm not going to give you a whole life story, but I'm going through a situation now where I'm in a relationship, and this is my first relationship ever, and I'm in my late 20s, so I don't have a lot of dating experience. This is someone I met and really instantly connected with, and but after spending a lot of time with him and learning more about him and getting past surface level conversation, now it's been almost 3 years. It'll be 3 years next week, actually. And we have learned a lot about each other. And I'm realizing that he has a lot of tendencies that are very avoidant. And this is something that I didn't realize at first because we were so connected at the beginning. And I don't want to say he love bombed me because I don't think that's accurate, but I will say he had a difference in his communication that he doesn't have now. And when I brought this up, he told me that basically he got comfortable and he realized that he didn't feel the need to pursue me anymore. He was kind of just like, he says that he wants to be with me. He wants to propose, and he sees us being together. We've met each other's families. We spend time with each other's families. But I feel like this avoidance and this kind of fizzle in connection that has gone in this direction recently is avoidance. And it's realizing that I can't just be a part of his life. We're going to have to be a part of each other's lives.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in a way, he may be a little intimidated by my family structure. I grew up in a two-parent household. My parents have been married for my whole life. They are happy together. I've always had stability. He's had the total opposite. He has a single mom. His dad was very uninvolved. He has a lot of turmoil with his sister who has a lot of children, and he was basically pushed out of the house. It's a whole thing. But I think he sees my structure as something that he wants to be attainable, but he's afraid of what will happen if he pursues it. I think I'm a sense of stability in his life, but he doesn't know what to do with it. And
Okay.
about having something that is good and not knowing what to do with it, it really struck me because I feel like that's what's going on. And because I'm getting that from him, that lack of rhythm and predictability, like you were mentioning, it's causing a rift, and then it's causing me to have some anxious tendencies that I've never had. So I'm concerned because it's not what I want. I feel like it's something worth working with. He's not a bad guy at all. He's great. We connect on so many different levels, and something else that I kind of am not sure if this is actually an aspect of what I'm feeling, but because I've never been in a real relationship, and we had I'm not sure what I can say, but intimacy.
Okay.
And that's not something that I've ever shared with anyone else. And like I said, I'm almost 30. So this is something that's completely new to me. So it took me a lot of time to build that connection with him over the past 3 years. And after doing so, I felt comfortable enough. I felt safe enough to have that intimacy with him. And now that things are kind of shifting, it's not only a lack of consistency and safety in that way, but it's also like my emotions, because now I'm feeling anxiety in my mind and my body. Like I don't think that there's anything not worth saving, but I'm not sure how much can actually go into something where he has a different attachment that has nothing to do with me.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And so your biggest, I heard all that because that it all makes sense. I'm like, I can sometimes be a visual person. So like I'm visualizing some of the stuff happening, like just play by play, like all the different
Yeah.
things you described, right? So, okay, what is your biggest question, like in terms of where you're at with it now?
My biggest question is it possible or worth someone who has this wound or this attachment that it shows up in all other aspects of their life? Is it worth pursuing something serious with him um, that will need to be worked on to the point where I don't want to feel like, I think my biggest thing is I don't want to feel like I have to change someone. I don't want to
Right.
do that. I don't want to fix anyone. I don't want to change anyone. But I feel like when you have a deep connection with a person and all other characteristics of them are good, I don't want to throw something away that could be, because we've taught each other a lot. He's taught me things, I've taught him things. So it's not like it's been completely one-sided, but I don't know how much work can go into this and if it's worth my effort and my time for someone who may not be able to fully commit to it.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think a lot of this is solved in two things. Okay. Number one, well, as I've said, throughout the duration of this live, we're going to make the decision to engage in a relationship, re-engage, or go further based off of one, where is our values at? What do our values say to us in regards to this relationship? Do our values say this makes sense, or does it say it doesn't? And if it doesn't, then we probably do want to be, aligned with our values, because it's not always about getting it right. It's about remaining aligned. So I'll start there.
Hmm.
Secondly, one of the biggest things that we have to realize is, yes, as you said, it's not my job to fix anyone. I don't want to come into a relationship with that kind of pressure on my hands to feel like it's my job or to change anyone. And we can't change anyone, right?
Yeah.
We are incapable of doing that. But this is one of the things that gives you the opportunity to see, okay, based off of the context that you've had with them. You've said it's gone on 3 years.
Hmm.
Okay. So you have enough context of this person within these 3 years to be able to look back and see what evidences do you have that suggests that they are willing and wanting to work on these things, because that is really going to be the question that he has to consistently answer and consistently show up for. If he is, the only way that he's going to be able to change some of these behaviors is one, if he's honest about them himself. He's aware, self-aware, honest about who he is, where he is, what he's doing at any given moment. That is going to give him the capacity to then make different decisions and heal, not necessarily for the relationship, although that can be a byproduct, right, of the decision to heal. He's making this decision because it's what's right
Yeah.
and it's what makes sense. Okay. And the only way that a lot of this work can even begin is if he's saying, hey, I notice that these are my behaviors. This is what damage it's creating in the relationship. And I'm wanting and willing to do the work to work through it. And if that willingness is there, then to the extent of how much work there is to do and invest in, we're basically suggesting and saying within the agreement that I'm wanting to do the work, I'm willing to do whatever it takes.
Yeah.
And that is an important indictment to decide, okay, is this something that I can then continue to remain connected in and continue to grow within? Because I know that, yes, this attachment style it isn't anything you cause. And most attachment styles that we experience as we engage one another isn't because the person directly in front of you caused it. And these things are coming from various different places, childhood and all the affirmations and reaffirming experiences you've had leading up to the adult life you're experiencing now. The way you're loving today is a reflection of how love was taught to you in some way, whether it was
Mhm.
reframed, you grew, or it was a reflection of childhood experiences. I like to call that your programming. However, if he's willing, okay, and if he's willing and he's saying, I'm willing to do what it takes, and this isn't something you have to guess, right? Because this is one of the things you're going to know. And I'll end it with this analogy so I'm not over flooding with so many thoughts, okay? And I want to hear your thoughts afterwards. I shared this a couple lives ago. um have you ever taken a trip by plane?
Yes, I have.
Okay. And when you get on the plane, there's typically TSA servers, obviously, that are going up and down the aisle. And before the plane takes off, they're giving a lot of instructions, right? They're telling
Hmm.
you how to buckle your seatbelt, reach for whatever is underneath the seat. When the gas masks fall in the event of an emergency, you're going to put yours on first before you help the person next to you put theirs on, right?
Hmm.
All the different emergency exits, all the things. So when there is rough turbulence, have you ever been on a plane where in the midst of all that and you guys take off, there's some rough turbulence in the beginning?
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And tell me some of the things that you maybe recall on this specific plane ride happening when there was rough turbulence as you were heading where you were.
Mm. Well, it's funny that you use that analogy because I'm actually terrified of planes, but I had to fly a lot for work. So I had to get used to it. But during turbulence, I would actually look at the flight attendants and see if they're panicking. And if they panic, then I panic. But
Hmm.
if they're okay, I'm like, okay, everything must be fine. But typically, I just have to wait it out. Like I don't have control. There's nothing else I can do. So I just look around and look at my surroundings. And if I feel comforted, then I feel okay.
Yeah. So next time you're on a plane and there's some turbulence, I know it's hard to focus on so many different things because you're one worried about what's going to happen. So you're trying your best to just be in the present.
Hmm.
But as the plane is taking off, there's a couple things that typically happen. Okay, number one is the pilot is going to get on the intercom and he's going to be honest about the situation. He's like, "Hey, so thank you for boarding flight 102. We are departing to your destination, and as we're flying, all right. Oh, let's go, Erica. So this is gonna make sense, Erica. Stick around. I love it. So hey, we're on this flight. We're heading and departing to our destination. And ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna have some turbulence. All right. As we're traveling and getting high above the altitude, as storms are passing by or something along those lines, right? And he says, so do us a favor as you're seated, buckle your seatbelts, put up your trays in front of you, make sure your carry-ons are tucked underneath the seats and, this turbulence may last about 10, 15 minutes, but then we will be well on our way to our destination. Right.
Yeah.
So he communicates that. And then, you start feeling it. The plane is shaking, all the things are happening. And you're like, oh, okay, he did not lie. Like
Hmm.
it is there. But then you notice too, right? Because the pilot is aware, not just that he is controlling the plane with all the panels up front, but that he has a lot of lives on this plane that he's also stewarding and taking care of. He's not just going to get on the intercom to be honest about it. He's also going to talk you through it. So there's some communication that's taking place on this plane. And he'll
Right.
give you an update as 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes has passed. Ladies and gentlemen, just returning back to the intercom, we are actually just about out of the turbulence. We have really risen above a lot of these storms. Give about maybe 5 more minutes. Okay. And then we will be on our way. Okay. 5 more minutes passes. All of a sudden, things get smooth. And so now there's not only him communicating and being honest, he's also been communicative throughout the duration of the turbulence that's being experienced. But then as he gets at the end, he says, "Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have finally, made it through the turbulence, and we are well on our way. We actually are about 30 to 45 minutes from your destination. So please relax, unbuckle your seatbelt as we are flying. Enjoy your flight, and I will come back when we are approaching our gate." Right. And so all of a sudden, now what started as like panic, worry, a lot of different things have now resulted to a resting place. You're calm, everything's good, you're at
Hmm.
ease, and you're on your destination. There's a few things that happen throughout this explanation I need you to catch that's going to let you know for your relationship whether or not this is something that you want to stay with, to build and invest into, or if it makes most sense with your values to walk away. I told you the pilot communicated the directions. So he was honest. He didn't tell you that everything was okay. He didn't lie to you and say that things were happening when they weren't or things weren't happening when they were. He simply said, in all honesty, from what he was seeing, we've got some turbulence. So he was self aware. Okay.
Yeah.
Then, number two, there was a communicative plan put in place. He told you as the turbulence was going up, please be sure to what? Put your trays up against your seat. Tuck your bags underneath your seat. Keep your seat belts on, and be sure to remain in a seated position as we are flying above the altitude and getting to where we need to be. He was very communicative on what that was. And then he thirdly had progress. He didn't just leave you guessing when you were going to come out of it if he's a good pilot. He's not going to leave you guessing to whether or not are we out of turbulence or are we still in it. He's communicated through it, and he's also given you updates, progress. You see change, and you don't just see it, you feel it. Because you weren't in turbulence throughout the whole duration of the plane. You actually ended up getting pretty even above the clouds to where you were at rest and ease and on your way to your destination. If he is self-aware, honest about the situation, what he's doing, his behaviors, all the things, if there is a communicative plan that has been put in place between the two of you on what this is going to look like as you both intentionally, work together to heal through these things. You're not taking more than you're responsible for. He's taking ownership and responsibility for what he knows he has to work on in order for the relationship to be healthy and to be whole. And you guys are coming together on what that communicative plan looks like. You guys set a meeting, have a conversation, talk through it. What does this look like? Getting specific down to all the things that are required for this to be as healthy as possible. And then you're seeing progress. You're not necessarily needing to see 0 to 100, but you do need to see, okay, is there some just small changes, small attempts, small trajectories where this person is growing? Am I able to see that? If you see all those things, that is a willing and healthy connection that I think you have enough information to say, this is something that I feel comfortable and safe enough to continue building. In the event that those things are not there, he's not honest, there's no plan, all of it always falls through, and there's no progress. Matter of fact, you might actually be seeing more regression than progression. Then that just lets us know that this is probably not the place to be, because if he's doing it here, we cannot expect him to do anything else different when married.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something that we want to pay attention to. And this progress is not supposed to take place immediately. It's not supposed to take place fast. You're just going to see it gradually. So you got to give it some time, but you're going to see it gradually. And I think in the event that those things aren't there, I think you'll have your answer as to whether or not this is something that you should continue to invest in or be willing to stick through or not. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that makes plenty of sense. And we've had smaller conversations before where I let him know that there were just these tiny things that I felt like could be improvements in communication. And because, like I said, he's had a completely different life experience and didn't prioritize communication, didn't prioritize, like he was kind of just like as a child able to come and go. He never really had to tell anyone his whereabouts or if something was going on. So I saw that when he's telling me these stories and I'm seeing the family dynamic, I'm seeing, wow, this is a pattern that is carrying into our relationship. And because I set an expectation at the beginning of, I would really like to have conversations more often. I would like to have a standing day where I know we're both busy, but let's have a standing day to connect and things like that, where I was setting this expectation and he's held to that. But there are these small things that kind of backtrack and I guess I have a hard time seeing what that would look like in the future. And because we recently had this conversation about connection and communication and just setting an expectation for me so I feel like I can rely on his word. And we talked about the potential of going to see a relationship coach or a therapist. And he was open to it, surprisingly, because I've done therapy myself. It's something that I probably should continue alone, but he's never and was never open to it for himself. But when I came to him with this feeling like we're in a place where we need to determine from a third party who is unbiased and is going to hear both of our sides if this is something that can continue to build. And he was very open to it. He said yes, he would like to. But like I said, I I just don't want to feel like I'm the one who's constantly fighting and finding solutions. I know he doesn't know how, and that's what's given me a little more patience because he doesn't have that understanding of the importance of having a person to talk to.
Mhm.
So that's why I'm bringing in a more empathetic side of things. And like I said, if he was a bad guy and I felt like this wasn't worth pursuing, I would have been out of it. But I feel like something's pulling me to do this, but I don't know if that's a step in a direction that I shouldn't take, if it's too soon to pursue therapy or coaching, because I'm the one pushing for it.
Mm. Yeah, and so, well, again, I think if he's willing, I think there's a lot you can do with that. I do. I think there's a lot you can do with that. And I think it's good too, because I think especially being at this space, I'm assuming the next step for you guys is possibly considering what marriage looks like, right? And
Yes.
what those so that is kind of where we're at with some of it. Um and to determine whether or not you're pushing too soon for it, I wouldn't necessarily say that that is the case. I think it's just more so knowing how to navigate some of these smaller things now, and if there's progress in them, does it kind of affirm, or does it affirm one of two things, that you should continue, or is it something that you should step back from?
Hmm.
And I think that goes for both of you in said situation. So I'll tell you what, because I actually um, don't just coach singles. I do have the privilege of coaching couples as well.
Okay.
And so if you're still looking for that, and if you're
Hmm.
still interested in that, let's follow up. Send me a message. I can, get something together where perhaps that could be something that you guys invest into, to
Hmm.
maybe see where things go. Okay. Of course, I want you to exercise all the options you were thinking before. Go to trusted resources, all the things. I don't have to be the person to sit in front of you guys, but I do want to offer my services to you, because I think that could be something that is really helpful to navigate through. But I also, the last thing I'll say is that part of this too can sometimes just be a level of endurance, and needing to endure some of it. Now, I know, again, we're approaching 3 years. How much more do I need to endure? Well, I think when you come to marriage, you're going to endure a lot, right? We're
Yeah.
talking about the
Hmm.
covenant. We're talking about, so that's another conversation there. But I would say, outside of the endurance piece, um, that it's good to understand the context to get perspective of things. I think that, and then allowing that to bring out a sense of empathy, can be helpful. But for him and for all of us, even though we have a context to where it's coming from, it does not mean that I need to then I need to make room or provision to care for those things, in the sense of making it my job to make one emotionally comfortable with those things.
Yeah.
When we become aware of that, we now have more leverage and control than we realize. And when I'm aware of it, now it is up to me to start making different decisions that are going to cultivate different results. And I'm not going to be somebody who is just going to lay idly aside while you remain aware of where your dysfunctions come from, just to continuously give yourself permission to stay there. Doesn't sound like
Hmm.
that's what you're dealing with, but I think it's something that we are just being aware of, because once we become aware, we now have more leverage than we realize to make a difference. And
Yeah.
so some of that comes with endurance. That's why I always ask the capacity question, because some of this stuff comes with endurance. I mean, you listen to somebody's history and context, you see where they come from. Obviously they won't be, too, not say willing, but it's not going to be the first thought in their mind to, reach out, communicate, say this, say that. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they don't care. It just means, okay, when we start talking about strength, when we start talking about all those things, it just makes a little bit of a different approach and perspective to things. I know, for instance, for me, if I had the privilege of sitting in front of you guys, I would actually have both take a strength test, because
Okay.
this is something that would give us clarity to know, based on your strengths, what are you naturally inclined to do? And then
Hmm.
where are we possibly missing the mark, because somebody's naturally inclined to do one thing, but that's not necessarily what I'm naturally inclined to do. So we're missing each other. And it's not intentionally, it's just, this is actually a reflection of perhaps how we've been wired, but it doesn't mean that we can't grow in other areas in order for that to change. That would be one of the first things that I would have you guys do. That I
Okay.
think would give a lot of background to some of this to help you navigate through it. But again, like I said, exercise all your options, whichever ones you trust most and you feel most comfortable with. Again, I don't have to be the person to do that, but I do want to offer my services. I think they would be helpful, and I hope that those thoughts were made some sense.
Absolutely. I really appreciate it. I started following you because you make so much sense, and I could
Thank
really
you.
understand, different perspectives. And this is something I never do, but I felt like I felt comfortable enough to be able to speak to you and hear your perspective. So I really appreciate it. I'll definitely send you a message.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for trusting me with it. I know it's a lot, and I don't take it for granted. Okay, and I'm looking forward to seeing your messages as we move forward. Okay.
Thanks so much.
Absolutely, my
Here.
pleasure. Take care. All right, y'all put a one in the chat, man. These conversations have been gold today. Can I just say that? Can I just start there? All right, as we're on a descent, I won't take any more calls. I have to transition. Okay, I have to get on um, to actually get to some other things today. But put a one in the chat if that made sense. Put a two in the chat if this live was helpful for you. Did you get something out of it? I know there were plenty of people coming and going for the time being that you were here. I appreciate you guys a ton for stopping by, connecting, and just getting some thoughts, man. This was really good. And I'll be back tomorrow. All right. Preferably same time, 1:30 p.m. Central Time. And it's a Saturday. So I'm sure it'll be a little bit different. But listen, as I have you guys here, of course, as always, go to the top of my page for your free relational diagnostic. Okay, when you do that and you finish the questionnaire, you're going to scroll a little bit to the bottom. You're going to click book qualification call. You're going to click that button and then you're going to answer those questions. If you qualify, a calendar is going to open up for you to schedule a call. If it doesn't and it says you don't qualify, cool. It's going to also read join waitlist. Join that. Okay, that's actually where I still have some active things, programs in there for you to get engaged with, to get familiar with the systems, everything I do here that's designed to help you get closer and further into places of security, um, whether marriage comes now or later. Okay. And if you're interested in some sessions, okay, you listen to all this, you're like, fam, let's connect. I need some help. Send secure sessions. Okay. And I will gladly send you some links or a link to book your session. My books are open and I would love to connect with you and work with you on whatever it is you're dealing with, even if it's not necessarily relationship centered. Hopefully, you guys are seeing as we're having more and more conversations. A lot of this stuff isn't just relationship centered. This is dealing with human hearts. This is dealing with human tendencies, perspectives, all the things that goes beyond relationships, but it does impact our relationships. Okay, so be sure to check that out. And then send me a DM with secure. All right, if you are wanting to get into my 1 week trial of my secure program designed to help you go from anxious or avoidant attachment to secure attachment, in a 12-week program. Okay, you have the first week available to you for free. I would love to talk with you to see what sparks your interest and what next steps would look like to get you involved in that. So send me a message with secure and I'll be sure to get you started. Okay, that's it. I'm done talking. I'll have a couple video, maybe a video or two, probably a video releasing later on today. So be on the lookout for that. Follow me on all platforms, Coach Sean Walker. And I appreciate you guys a ton. Trust me with your time. And until next time, be easy and be breezy.